Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the common grass poison-type Pokemon Bellsprout, the Flower Pokémon, its uncommon evolution Weepinbell, and its final rare evolution Victreebel, the latter two of which are collectively known as the Flycatcher Pokémon. Though they might not look that different from normal plants, the members of the Bellsprout family are potent creatures that can more than use their acidic powers to melt away any troubles that might come against them. Bellsprout possess extremely thin, flexible brown bodies that split into a pair of root-like tendrils with several smaller tendrils splitting at the ends, acting as feet for the creatures. In place of limbs, these plants have a pair of large leaves that are attached at the sides of their main body, acting as both a source of offensive power and a way for them to gather sunlight for energy. Their flowers are shaped like bells and are yellow in color with a pink outer lip, and unlike most flowers, these structures are permanent, complete with a pair of small, black, beady photoreceptors that the creatures use to see their surroundings. Their evolved form, Weepinbell, have a similar flower structure but have completely lost their brown root body, with their primary leaves moving to their flower as their bodies effectively fuse together into a single compact form. They have a series of 3 green spots on the front of their body with a brown hook-like structure on their back end, and their photoreceptors have grown in size, having white to them to make them look just like normal eyes. Their final evolution, Victreebel, possess a much larger flower body with larger leaves and more green spots on their form, being one of the largest plant Pokemon known to exist. Their flower opening has developed a small pair of fang-like structures on the front part of the rim, and the entrance to their inner flower mouth is covered by a large fan-like leaf that is attached to the back rim of their body at a hinge. Their tiny, beady black eyes grant them a horrifying appearance, and their head is topped off by a long, vine-like brown structure with a small yellow leaf at the end that is often used as a lure for prey. The members of the Bellsprout family are carnivorous plants usually associated with hot, humid climates, but they have adapted to survive in more temperate regions as they have been imported into many places across the world. These creatures are very close in terms of biology to their plant relatives, and thus share many similar traits, with a focus on using toxins to both incapacitate and devastate prey and opponents alike. Acting as ambush predators, these plants will generally wait around and stay motionless, pretending to just be normal plants, until something approaches them. At that point, they will either lash out with vines or douse the prey item with a combination of poison powder and acid in order to immobilize them, proceeding to swallow them whole and digest them internally. These Pokemon possess some of the strongest acids on the planet, and can easily digest any type of prey item as long as they can fit it in their flowers, which act as their main bodies. However, they are held back somewhat by the lack of access to powerful damaging attacks, but this is of little consequence to them, as they can more than use their acids to dissolve even the most stubborn of prey items, the acid itself being strong enough to melt even iron. This can make these plants incredibly dangerous to be near, and in turn a hazard for just about any type of Pokemon, though they are only considered a serious threat when in a fully evolved state. As a result of their dominantly plant-based biology, these creatures possess chlorophyll as their only base ability, but those that possess a more voracious appetite can also possess gluttony as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, in the case of Victreebel, these plants have fairly soft skin and are not designed to be the most mobile of creatures, so their resistance against damage and agility are hampered, resulting in them having below average base defense, special defense, and speed stats for a fully evolved grass and poison-type Pokemon. On the other hand, they are surprisingly hardy with a good deal of stamina to them, and their offensive powers are strikingly strong on both ends, being masters of both close quarters and projectile attacks, and thus have above average base HP, attack, and special attack stats for a Pokemon of both of their types. As such, while these plants might not have the best of defenses to work with and are not very fast, they can still deal considerable damage with their attacks, and prove to be a serious threat worth looking out for in a battle. Bellsprout, while carnivorous in nature as a result of living in environments that are typically poor in nitrates, are still able to use photosynthesis to produce energy, as are their evolutions, but are also the only member of their family that is able to plant their long, flexible body into the ground to draw in nutrients and especially water that way. Aside from providing them energy to store for evolution later in life, Bellsprout are able to use the split ends of their root body as feet, and are thus a bit more mobile than either of their evolutions, at least in terms of getting from one location to another rapidly. These roots can also be used as vines to deliver potent vine whip attacks at an early age, and are great for snatching insects out of the air at blinding speed, which serves as their primary mean of sustenance, and will often lash out in this manner at anything that moves near them out of reflex. Unfortunately, if these plants decide to plant their roots, it takes them at least 30 seconds for them to uproot themselves, leaving them vulnerable to attack. As a counter to this, the roots are made from highly elastic tissue that not only allows Bellsprout to bend and twist their body freely to avoid incoming attacks, but, more importantly, can allow them to redirect the kinetic energy from a smaller Pokemon attacking them directly and throw it right back at them, catching and throwing them into the ground while they remain unscathed. Moreover, when planted, their body can act as an electrical ground, effectively preventing them from being harmed by minor and even moderately powerful electrical attacks. Interestingly, because of the face-like form of their flower, these creatures are sometimes considered to be a type of mandrake plant, and it is more than possible that they may have, in their own way, been an inspiration behind the notion of such mythical creatures as a whole. When Bellsprout evolve into Weepinbell, the size of their flower grows tremendously, but they lose most of their root body, only retaining a thick hook-like structure on the back end of their body, and their leaves move down and attach to the flower itself. While this severely limits their mobility and takes away the unique advantages their thin body once had, this is done to make them more efficient predators, as the increase in size allows them to dine on larger meals, and thus eliminate the need for them to have noticeable roots to plant themselves into the ground for. In this state, these creatures will use the hook-like appendage on their body to hang from trees and wait for something to come close to them. Once they see something that catches their attention, they will immediately douse the target with poison powder to immobilize them before using skin-melting acid to finish the job, swallowing them whole afterwards. If the prey item they have attacked is too large for them to devour at once, they will use their sharp leaves to cut the prey into bite-sized chunks, though they cannot use this power to deliver an actual razor leaf attack until very late into the life cycle. This as a whole can make these creatures a bit of a pain though, as they are very limited in the way in which they can attack others while in this state. But it works well for them in the wild, so this is the form they will spend most of their natural life in out in the wild. Moreover, they can be a bit unpredictable when hungry, as they will spray acid at anything that moves close to them when they haven't had a meal in some time, making them a hazard to friend and foe alike. The only thing that keeps them safe from their own acid is a potent base that they secrete on the inside of their flower to neutralize the acid there, though this is of little help to those exposed to the toxins outside of their flower. Lastly, it is noted that these creatures will often sleep on branches while hanging from their hooked appendage, but if they move around a lot, it is quite possible that they might fall to the ground, and if they do, they are vulnerable to attack from predators until they can wake in the morning, leaving some to exact revenge against them and their potent life-ending acid attack. Normally, Weepinbell take many years in isolation to evolve into a fully matured state, but this process can be heavily accelerated by exposing them to the radiant energy of a leaf stone, causing them to immediately evolve into Victreebel. It was once unknown what state these creatures lived in the wild, as while it was widely believed that they lived in large colonies in jungles, no explorer in olden times traveling out to confirm this ever returned alive. Only modern satellite footage has been able to confirm that this is in fact the case. These monstrous plants, like their pre-evolved forms, are ambush predators, but they are much more effective at luring prey close to them. This is because these plants have two ways of luring in potential prey. For one thing, the liquid acid that is contained in their flower bodies possesses a sweet, honey-like smell that attracts both insects and larger prey items alike, leading them to go and explore the plant and get too close to the flower opening, which acts as the mouth of Victreebel. On the other hand, for those that are not lured by smell alone, Victreebel have developed a long vined appendage with a leaf on the end that is flicked around to make it resemble a moving animal, acting as a physical lure that entices prey items to come closer to the entrance of their flower. Regardless of how they were lured, when they get too close, Victreebel will lift open the leaf that caps their open mouth to keep foreign bodies from accidentally entering it, and, with a single strike, will lurch towards the target and swallow them whole, using a pair of fang-like growths on their inner lip to hold prey and keep them from escaping their hold as they swallow them. After this, there is little chance of escape, as the acids in them are so strong that they can devour prey items, hard parts and bones alike, entirely in just a day. The dissolution of their prey item only serves to make them more of a threat, as the breakdown of organic compounds associated with muscle tissue is what gives their acid its sweet smell in the first place, resulting in the fluid having a stronger scent the more prey items they feed on, as the compounds become increasingly concentrated in the fluid. This behavior is what allows these creatures to gain access to the stockpile, swallow, and spit up moves shortly after evolving, and while mutated growth and evolution via stone can keep them from learning all of the basic moves that Weepinbell would normally get access to for the most part, they are compensated for this by being able to use their massive leaves to deliver potent physical and special attacks that are inaccessible to the other members of the Bellsprout family, getting access to the Leaf Tornado attack immediately upon evolving, and later getting the Leaf Blade and Leaf Storm attacks as well, by far making them the most offensively powerful member of their family and a true threat worth fearing under many circumstances. Truly among the most dangerous of plants in terms of their predatory habits and capacity to melt down anything that stands before them, the members of the Bellsprout family are wicked creatures that can more than make themselves a threat under normal combat circumstances. They might be highly limited in terms of the types of moves they can learn, but as long as they don't have a type disadvantage, these creatures can still prove to be a living nightmare to deal with, even with strong armor on one side. Do yourself a favor, and try not to tackle these creatures in the wild in a fully evolved state if you want to remain alive. Bellsprout and Weepinbell might be manageable in their own way with the right Pokemon, but if you stray too close to a Victreebel without realizing that you are in danger, it will only take a moment for you to go from being near it to being inside of it, and once in there, any hope of going home to see your family again is pretty much completely lost. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description. With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.